Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday, November 17th. Well, a strong cold front barreled through the eastern states on Sunday evening with some gusty showers and embedded thunderstorms. It ushered in colder air for the beginning of the work week on Monday, but a secondary cold front that will come through later today will actually usher in the coldest air of the season so far for much of the I-95 corridor region, the northeast U.S., the eastern Great Lakes. It also is accompanied by a lake effect snow event. Many bands of snow have formed already upstream of the I-95 corridor region, let's say across central and western PA, central and western New York, and we'll take a look at the radar in a moment. The next couple of nights will feature below freezing temperatures in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Many of the suburbs will drop to the lowest point this season so far, well down into the 20s in many areas by early tomorrow morning and early on Thursday morning as well. Before we get to the weather situation across the U.S., let's take a look at the tropical scene. We have Hurricane Iota has weakened considerably. It actually peaked out at a Category 5 storm just before making landfall in the northeastern section of Nicaragua, the same area that Hurricane Iota came ashore about a week or a week and a half ago as a Category 4 hurricane. Kind of interesting this year. We have kind of a hot spot here in Nicaragua, and we have a hot spot in Louisiana where there are 5 or 6 direct landfalls during this very active 2020 tropical season. Iota will continue to weaken over the higher terrain of Nicaragua and Honduras, and will end up around this position here by later tomorrow night as a weakened tropical depression. This made it the 30th. Iota became the 30th named storm of the season, which breaks the record that was set in 2005 for the number of storms. That year we peaked out at 28. This year 30, and again Louisiana was kind of a hot spot. Notice that quiet after you get rid of Iota. Maybe it'll be quiet here. We'll just have to wait and see if that is indeed the last of the season, but that's certainly not a guarantee. Still some very warm waters across the Caribbean Sea and even into the Gulf of Mexico. Well, we're getting to that time of the year where the rubber meets the road in terms of the winter outlook here. We're now into the middle part of November. One of the teleconnection indices I like to look at this time of the year is called the Arctic Oscillation. The Arctic Oscillation, short, you can use AO, and the North Atlantic Oscillation, kind of closely related cousins in terms of teleconnections. Basically, teleconnections suggest that what happens in one part of the world can have an impact on another part of the world. And here we're looking at what's going on in terms of temperatures and pressures across the North Atlantic, the Arctic region, and they can give an idea as to whether or not cold air outbreaks can make it all the way into the central and eastern U.S. from northern Canada. And not only whether these cold air outbreaks can make it that far to the south and east, but whether they can be sustained. What we want to see this time of the year, if you want to see sustained cold air in the northeast U.S., AO and NAO in negative territory for a sustained period of time, and been positive over the last few weeks, going all the way back into the early to middle part of October. But kind of an interesting forecast here. And the forecast on this particular type of plot shows up in red. Kind of a downturn expected over the next couple of weeks in terms of the Arctic Oscillation. That'll be something we'll monitor closely over the next couple of weeks. It could suggest a colder weather pattern setting up for the latter part of November going into December. And this is a look at the North Atlantic Oscillation Teleconnection Index. And again, it's been positive over the last few weeks, but some signs that it'll go maybe neutral, maybe even negative as we approach the latter part of November into early December. So a couple things we'll watch for over the next couple of weeks. Well, here's a radar loop coming out of Binghamton, New York. It's from WSI's and telecast.com. All the snow is represented here by blue and the rain by green. And this is indeed a lake effect type of cold air outbreak. The Great Lakes still relatively warm compared to the air that's flowing over from the northwest to the southeast, and that creates some instability in the lower part of the atmosphere. And in this case, some downstream snow bands here. And some of the snow is coming down quite hard up across the higher elevations of central and western Pennsylvania, central and western New York. There can even be rain or snow shower that makes it all the way into the I-95 corridor region to the east of the Appalachian Mountains. Again, can be some snowflakes mixed in all the way down in the I-95 corridor region later today. The best chance for any shower activity associated with the secondary cold front will be from midday right through the afternoon hours, and that'll all die down tonight, setting the stage for a very cold night. Again, low temperatures by tomorrow morning, way down in the 20s in many of the suburban locations in the D.C. to New York City to Boston corridor here. Again, below freezing in all these areas by tomorrow morning, and that below freezing pattern will repeat late tomorrow night into early Thursday. Well, let's take a look at the surface forecast maps from last night's 0Z run of the operational version of the GFS. And again, we have a lake effect snow event going on today into early tonight. Some of the coldest air of the season so far moving into the mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S. The good news is that this chill will ease by the latter part of the weekend. Really could be setting the stage for a decent weekend in the I-95 corridor region. We'll still a few days away from that, but that is a possibility. And we start off the day. Blue represents the areas of snow, and you'll see a lot of it over the higher elevations from central Pennsylvania back towards the Great Lakes, central New York back towards the Great Lakes. And again, maybe even a rain or snow shower can make it all the way into the I-95 corridor region. The colder air will really be noticeable later today with an increase in winds. Not too windy this morning here, but they'll pick up. They'll become quite noticeable during the midday and afternoon hours upon the arrival of that secondary cold front and the passage wind direction out of the north to northwest. And again, temperatures will drop quite dramatically in the overnight hours. Below freezing to start off the day on Wednesday. Very cold high pressure in control right through tomorrow. And again, we have another cold night tomorrow night. Likely below freezing conditions again in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City going into the day on Thursday. Then, by Thursday afternoon, that high pressure system shifts to off the eastern seaboard. And notice this isobar pattern here. Winds flow clockwise around high pressure. That would result in a southwesterly flow of air, which will first warm up the Ohio Valley later in the week, and then all the way into the eastern states. Certainly by Friday we could be pushing the 60-degree mark for highs, and it looks like it could hold on for the upcoming week. And this is the Friday afternoon and then Friday evening, and finally Saturday morning forecast map here. And it looks like it could hold on to a decent weekend in the mid-Atlantic region. Still several days away, so not quite set in stone yet, but the bottom line is some of the coldest air of the season so far will result in below freezing conditions in the I-95 corridor, both late tonight and late tomorrow night. Then the chill will ease by the latter part of the week, possibly paving the way for a decent weekend. Meanwhile, Hurricane Iota, maximum sustained winds now down to 85 miles per hour, will continue to weaken as it pounds away at Central America, first Nicaragua, then Honduras, and will weaken all the way down to tropical depression status by the time we get to the latter part of Wednesday. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.